Listen, learn, and be inspired. The Legends in English brings you Ratan Tata's life, helping you improve English, practice listening, and discover lessons that motivate and guide you every day. Ratan Tata, the man who built trust. He built cars, but never forgot the people who walked barefoot. He led industries, but never stopped being kind. He created jobs for millions, but still lived like a simple man. This is not just a story of a businessman. It is the story of a legend. A man whose name itself became another word for trust. Ratan Tata. When the world talks about success, it often counts money. When India talks about success, it remembers values. And when we talk about values, we talk about Ratan Tata. He is not just the chairman of a great group of companies. He is the guardian of a great soul of India. A man who proved that kindness can build empires, and simplicity can shine brighter than gold. People call him the gentleman of industry. But those who know him well call him something more. The heartbeat of humanity in business. Early life and struggles. Ratan Tata was born on the 28th of December 1937 in Bombay, now Mumbai. He belonged to the famous Tata family, a family that had already written golden pages in India's history. But even in such a respected home, his childhood was not easy. When he was just 10 years old, his parents Naval Tata and Suni Tata separated. The young boy, who should have lived in laughter and games, found himself in a house of silence and questions. He was raised by his grandmother, Lady Navajbai Tata, a woman of grace and strong values. She became his world, his mother, his teacher, his moral compass. From her, he learned what dignity means, what compassion feels like, and how silence can be stronger than shouting. In those early years, Ratan faced something many children fear: loneliness. But instead of breaking him, it built him. Instead of making him bitter, it made him better. He learned to observe quietly, to understand deeply, and to feel for others. That is why, even today, when he speaks few words, those few words touch millions of hearts. Education, the foundation of vision. Ratan Tata studied first at Campion School and later at Cathedral and John Connon School in Mumbai. He also spent time at Bishop Cotton School, Shimla, far from home, surrounded by hills and discipline. There he learned that comfort is temporary, but courage lasts forever. After school, he went abroad to the United States, where he studied architecture at Cornell University. He loved design, not just of buildings, but of dreams. He believed that every creation must serve people, not just please eyes. Later, he also completed an advanced management program at Harvard Business School. But books and degrees were not what shaped him most. What truly shaped him were values. The lessons his grandmother had quietly planted in his heart. She had once told him, "Never measure your worth by what you own, but by what you give." That line became the invisible guide of his life. Every decision he made, every company he led, every dream he chased, he measured not in profit, but in purpose. First steps into the Tata world. In 1962, Ratan Tata returned to India. He could have chosen comfort, but he chose courage. He joined the Tata Group, not as a chairman, not as a leader, but as a trainee at Tata Steel in Jamshedpur. There, the young heir worked side by side with laborers, sweating under the same sun, sharing the same lunch on the floor. He watched how steel was made, But more than that, he learned how respect is earned. He once said, "You cannot understand the value of a company by sitting in an office. You must stand where its people stand." Those days among workers became his real education. An education no classroom could give. He learned the meaning of humility, the dignity of labor, and the pride of creating something with your own hands. Little did anyone know then that this young man, quiet and thoughtful, would one day lead the Tata Empire into a new century. But destiny had already written its plan, and Ratan Tata was walking towards it, one humble step at a time. In 1962, after finishing his studies in America, Ratan Tata returned to India. He could have stayed abroad, earning wealth, living in luxury, but he chose his roots. He chose India. He chose the house that built dreams, the Tata Group. He started from the ground literally, at Tata Steel, in the furnaces of Jamshedpur. He worked shoulder to shoulder with factory workers. He wore the same helmet, ate the same food, stood in the same dust. That experience taught him something deep. Respect is not given by title. It is earned by action. He understood that a leader is not the one who walks ahead, but the one who walks with his people. The turning point of leadership. The year was 1991, a time of change. India was opening its economy to the world. The winds of liberalization were blowing fast. In that same year, J.R.D. Tata, the great visionary who had led the Tata Group for decades, chose Ratan Tata as his successor, the new chairman of the Tata Group. It was not an easy crown to wear. Many senior executives doubted him. Some whispered, "He is too quiet, too soft." But Ratan Tata was not made for noise. He was made for purpose. He believed in doing, not in shouting. And slowly, one by one, his actions silenced every doubt. A dream for a new India and global leap. The 1990s were difficult years for Indian industry. Competition was rising. Markets were changing. And Tata companies were moving in many different directions. Ratan Tata brought them all together under one vision, one dream, one heartbeat. He began modernizing every branch of the group, from Tata Motors to Tata Steel, from Tata Consultancy Services to Tata Power. He introduced technology, new management ideas, and most importantly, unity. He once said, "If you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together." Those words became the new philosophy of the Tata Group. Then came another turning point the world began to notice. In 2000, Tata Tea, now Tata Consumer Products, bought Tetley Tea, a British company. For the first time, an Indian company had acquired a global giant. It was like history taking a new shape. The student buying the teacher. Then in 2007, Tata Steel acquired Chorus Group, one of Europe's biggest steel makers. And in 2008, came the most iconic. Tata Motors bought Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, from Ford. Many people laughed. They said, "How can an Indian company manage such luxury brands?" Quote, but Ratan Tata smiled and said nothing. He believed in results, not reactions. Within a few years, Jaguar Land Rover became one of Tata's most profitable companies. The same people who once doubted him now admired him. That was Ratan Tata's magic. He didn't argue. He proved the dream called Nano. Among all his achievements, one dream stood closest to his heart. The Tata Nano. It was born one rainy evening, when Ratan Tata saw a family of 4 riding on a scooter, the father driving, the mother holding two small children, trying to protect them from rain. That moment stayed in his heart. He thought, can I give them a car safe, small, and affordable? Quote. From that thought came the Tata Nano, the world's cheapest car, priced at just 1 lakh rupees. He said, I observed families on scooters, and I was moved. I wanted to create a safer alternative for them. It was not about business. It was about care, about giving dignity to the common man. Though the Nano project later faced challenges, its intention was pure and its impact eternal, because it showed the heart behind his leadership. A leader who thought not of profit, but of people. Calm in the storm, the 26/11 incident. Then came one of the darkest nights in India's history. The 26th of November 2008. The Mumbai terrorist attacks. The Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, a Tata property, was under siege. Lives were lost. The city was shaken. When the fire ended, Ratan Tata walked through the ruins, not as a businessman, but as a father of his people. He personally visited every affected employee and their families. He paid full salaries to all staff for months, supported families of those who died, and helped vendors and workers too, even if they were not Tata employees. No press conference, no cameras, no noise, only silent compassion. That day, India saw not a CEO, but a man of deep humanity. He had seen success. He had faced storms, but his feet always stayed on the ground, and his heart always stayed with his people. That's what made him a leader the world respects, and India loves. Failures, challenges, and philosophy of life. Every great success walks through a valley of failure, and every shining diamond is first a piece of rough stone. Ratan Tata's journey too had storms, moments that tested his patience, his courage, and his heart. But as he once said, take the stones people throw at you, and use them to build a monument. That is exactly what he did. When he first became chairman in 1991, many in the Tata Group didn't believe in him. He was quiet, gentle, soft-spoken, unlike the usual powerful corporate image. Some said, he's not strong enough. Others said, he cannot manage this empire. But Ratan Tata never replied. He simply worked. Patiently, silently, consistently. He restructured the group, brought all Tata companies under one brand, and slowly turned doubt into respect. He believed that leadership is not about loud words. It's about steady actions. And in time, the same people who doubted him began to admire him. The Nano setback. The Tata Nano, his dream project, was both his greatest pride and his deepest pain. He wanted to make a car that every Indian family could afford. Safe, small, simple, and full of hope. But after its grand launch in 2008, things didn't go as expected. The car faced technical issues, marketing errors, and public misconceptions. The dream that began with love ended in criticism. People called it a failure. But Ratan Tata never used that word. He said calmly, I don't believe in taking the right decisions. I take decisions and make them right. The Nano didn't sell as planned, but it proved something far greater. That Indian minds can dream big for the common man. That courage to try even when the world laughs is what makes Ratan Tata a legend. There were other challenges too. Economic recessions, political pressures, unfair media criticism, and boardroom battles. But Ratan Tata never let anger guide him. He believed in dignity, even in disagreement. He once said, "None can destroy iron, but its own rust can." The philosophy of a gentle giant. Ratan Tata is not just a business leader. He is a teacher of life. His philosophy is simple, yet powerful. He believed that integrity is the greatest wealth. One should never cheat to win. It is better to win with honesty, even if it takes longer. For him, people always mattered more than profits. A company's true strength, he said, is not in its balance sheet but in the loyalty and trust of its people. He taught that one must stay humble even when standing on great heights, because pride builds walls while humility builds bridges. He encouraged everyone to take risks with courage and never be afraid to dream, even if failure comes along the way. And above all, he believed in giving back to share what you earn with those who need it most. Ratan Tata lived by these principles every day. He didn't just speak them, he practiced them. And that made him a true legend. The heart of his teachings. Ratan Tata often said, "Ups and downs in life are very important, because a straight line in an ECG means we are not alive." These words show his wisdom. That struggle is not something to fear. It is proof that we are alive. He believed that business must serve society. He believed in compassion before competition. He believed that true leadership means service. He inspired young Indians to dream, not only to become rich, but to become good human beings. A man of quiet habits. Despite all his success, Ratan Tata lived a simple life. He never married. He never built palaces for himself. And he never chased fame. He lived alone, surrounded by his dogs and his dreams. He enjoyed flying planes, designing cars, and visiting people quietly without cameras. He is known to personally reply to letters from strangers, to meet employees in distress, and to donate silently to charity. He once said, "There are many things that money can't buy: manners, morals, and respect." That line sums up his soul. Ratan Tata's failures never broke him. His success never blinded him. And his power never corrupted him. He lived not for applause, but for purpose. That is why his life is not just a story of business. It is a story of human greatness. Inspirational short stories and tributes from great leaders. Some lives are not remembered for what they earned, but for how deeply they touched hearts. Ratan Tata's life is filled with such moments. Small stories that carry great lessons. Stories that speak softly, but echo forever. Story 1. The Scooter Family. Birth of the Nano. It was a rainy evening in Mumbai. The sky was crying. The roads were wet, shining under yellow streetlights. Ratan Tata sat in his car, waiting at a traffic signal. In front of him, he saw a small scooter. A father driving, his wife sitting sideways. Two little children squeezed between them. The scooter trembled on every bump. The rain poured harder. The mother tried to cover the kids with her sari. That picture hit him like lightning. He thought, this family deserves safety. They deserve a car, not luxury, just dignity. That night, a dream was born. A dream called the Tata Nano. It was never about business or fame. It was about the heart. A promise to give the poor what only the rich could afford. He said, "I observed families on scooters, and I was moved. I wanted to create something safer for them." The Nano faced challenges. Yes, but the story behind it remains pure gold. Because it showed that innovation can come from compassion. Story 2. The 26/11's Compassion. In November 2008, when terrorists attacked Mumbai, the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, owned by Tata, was under siege. The city was in pain. The nation was shocked. When the tragedy ended, Ratan Tata didn't sit in an office and send reports. He walked through the smoke and rubble of the Taj. He met every injured employee, every grieving family. He visited hospitals. He sat with victims quietly. No media, no spotlight. He paid full salaries to all employees for months. Even to those who died, their families continued to receive help. Even the small street vendors who sold tea outside the Taj were compensated and supported. No announcement, no advertisement, just silent kindness. That's when people said, "This is not a company. This is a family." That's when the world realized Ratan Tata's greatest empire was not built on steel or cars, but on humanity. Story 3. The heart that cares for every life. Ratan Tata's kindness doesn't end with humans. He is known for his deep love for animals, especially dogs. He created special shelters for stray dogs inside the Tata headquarters in Mumbai. Every morning, they are fed, cared for, and loved. He personally visits animal rescue centers, supports animal welfare projects, and adopts abandoned pets himself. He once said, "A life is a life, whether it's a man, a woman, or a stray dog. If you can make it better, you must." These are not big gestures for publicity. They are small acts of a great soul. Tributes. What legends said about a legend. Greatness recognizes greatness. And many world leaders have spoken about Ratan Tata with deep respect. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, said, "Ratan Tata is not just an industrialist. He is an inspiration to all Indians. A man who combines business with compassion." Anand Mahindra, another business leader, once wrote, "He has shown us that capitalism can have a conscience." Bill Gates, during a philanthropy event, said, "Few people have used wealth for human good the way Ratan Tata has." Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, India's beloved former president, once remarked, "Ratan Tata is a visionary who sees beyond profits. He sees people." And indeed, it's true. His name has become a symbol, not of luxury, but of trust. Ratan once said, "Don't just aim to make money. Aim to make a difference." And in those few words, he defined a new kind of success. A success that includes everyone. He built companies that touched the sky, but his heart always stayed on the ground. He taught that leadership is not domination. It's dedication. That greatness is not about how high you rise, but about how deeply you care. He taught India that power can be gentle, and that kindness can be stronger than steel. Legacy. Impact and amp. The light that never fades. Time passes, empires rise and fall. But there are some names that do not fade, because they are written not in history books, but in the hearts of people. Ratan Tata is one such name. He did not build towers of glass. He built foundations of trust. He did not chase money. He chased meaning. He did not seek fame. He sought goodness. And that is why, even when years go by, his story will still inspire every child who dares to dream kindly. Ratan Tata transformed the Tata Group into a global powerhouse. From tea to technology, from cars to consultancy, from power plants to social projects. When he became chairman in 1991, the group's revenue was around $5 billion. When he retired in 2012, It had crossed $100 billion. But numbers never defined his greatness. Because while the world saw the profits, he saw the people. He made sure that every Tata company lived by the same code: honesty, quality, respect, and responsibility. He believed that business without ethics is like a body without a soul. Even today, when people buy a Tata product, they don't just buy a brand, they buy trust. What many don't know is this: more than 60% of Tata Sons, the parent company of the Tata Empire, is owned by charitable trusts. That means the majority of profits go not to Ratan Tata, but to society, to build schools, hospitals, universities, and research centers. The Tata Trusts fund rural education, women empowerment, healthcare, and clean water projects. They've touched millions of lives quietly, humbly, beautifully. He once said, "I would like to be remembered as someone who did his best to do the right thing both for individuals and for the country." That simple wish has already come true. Inspiration for a new generation. Ratan Tata passed away on October 9, 2024, at the age of 86, due to age-related illnesses. This date is now observed annually to honor his enduring legacy and contributions. In today's world, where many chase instant success, Ratan Tata teaches something timeless: that real success is built on patience, integrity, and empathy. He reminds the youth that leadership is not about position. It is about purpose. He once told young entrepreneurs, "Don't just build companies. Build people. Build communities. Build the future." Across India, students quote his words. Business schools study his ethics. Startups seek his blessings, because he represents what every dreamer wishes to become: successful, yet humble; powerful, yet pure-hearted; global respect and message to the world. Around the world, Ratan Tata is respected not just as an industrialist, but as a symbol of India's values. When he walks into a room, people don't see wealth, they see wisdom. When he speaks, even billionaires listen, because his voice carries not arrogance, but authenticity. He never built an empire on exploitation. He built it on empowerment. That is why, wherever the Tata flag flies, it flies with pride, because behind it stands a man who made kindness his business. If we could summarize Ratan Tata's life in one message, it would be this: be kind, be brave, be honest. The rest will follow. He reminds us that it is possible to build empires without losing humanity, that you can lead with love, win with integrity, and shine without pride. He showed India that business can be moral, and that success can be soulful. The life conclusion. The legend lives on. Empires will change. Technology will evolve. New leaders will come and go. But legends like Ratan Tata, they remain eternal. Because they are not made of fame. They are made of faith. They are not remembered for what they took, but for what they gave. He built cars, but gave people dreams. He built industries, but gave workers respect. He built a legacy, but gave India a soul. And when the story of modern India is told, his name will shine softly, like a lamp in the dark, steady, warm, eternal. Empires rise and fall. Money comes and goes. But the light of kindness, it never fades. That light is called Ratan Tata. Sparkles the legends in English sparkles. Inspiration, motivation, simplicity. Stories that touch the heart and strengthen the soul.